Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're taking a really deep dive into an ancient text that actually serves as a profound, incredibly relevant case study on power, accountability, and executive transition. We're looking at Samuel's farewell address, specifically the account found in the 12th chapter of 1 Samuel. Now, you might be wondering, what can an ancient transition of power really teach us today? Well, the answer is absolutely everything. We're going to unpack exactly how Samuel steps down from a literal lifetime of leadership and how he masterfully handles the tricky shift from being the primary ruler to becoming a lasting mentor. Just imagine, for a second, a modern leader, like a president, a massive CEO, or a prime minister, stepping down from decades in power. Now imagine them standing up before the entire nation or all their shareholders, grabbing the microphone and demanding a total public audit of their entire life's work. Imagine them saying, "Tell me right now, to my face, if I have ever stolen from you, oppressed you, or taken a bribe." It's almost unthinkable today, isn't it? But as you'll see, that is exactly what Samuel does. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at a historic power transition. Second, the ultimate integrity audit. Third, accountability and hard truths. And finally, the true marks of leadership. Let's kick things off with Section 1, a historic power transition. To set the stage, we really have to look at the first two verses of this address. So the people of Israel have demanded a king, right? They want to be like the other nations around them. Samuel, who has been their judge and spiritual leader for years, has listened to their voice and officially anointed this new king, Saul. Samuel stands before this massive crowd and explicitly points out his own aging. He notes that he is old and gray-headed. He is formally transferring executive power. But notice this incredible statement he makes: "I have walked before you from my childhood until this day." Samuel is highlighting that he has dedicated his entire life to public service. This isn't just some executive stepping down after a quick 5-year stint. No, this is a monumental, once-in-a-generation shift in governance. Samuel has been the steady hand guiding them for decades. He's establishing the undeniable fact that his leadership has been entirely in the public eye. It's been an open book from day one. And that open book brings us directly into Section 2, the ultimate integrity audit. Right before Samuel leaves office and hands the reins over to the new king, he essentially puts his own career on trial, and he makes the people the jury. Notice the sheer aggressive transparency he uses here in verse 3. He challenges the crowd, calling on the Lord and the new king as witnesses. He asks them point blank, "Whose ox or donkey have I taken? Who have I defrauded? Who have I oppressed? From whose hand have I taken a bribe to just look the other way?" And he even promises that if they can prove any of it, he will restore it to them immediately. He isn't hiding behind a team of lawyers or non-disclosure agreements. He is inviting intense public scrutiny. And the crowd's response? It's absolutely remarkable. They echo back to him with total exoneration. They declare, "Thou hast not defrauded us, nor oppressed us. Neither hast thou taken aught of any man's hand." They publicly validate his claims. He has a completely unblemished record. It's this stunning moment of unanimous public approval which establishes an unshakable moral authority for what he's about to tell them next. If we take Samuel's ancient self-audit and translate it into a modern leadership framework, it gives us an incredible integrity checklist. Look at these pillars here. Zero corruption, no bribes, no under-the-table deals, no exploitation. He didn't use his power to take people's livelihoods, which were represented back then by the ox and the donkey. Total transparency. He opened himself up completely to public questioning. And restitution offered. A genuine willingness to make things right if any wrong was actually found. I mean, this sets an absolute gold standard for ethical governance today, doesn't it? But Samuel doesn't just stop with his own perfect record. This brings us to Section 3, accountability and hard truths. You see, real leaders don't just flatter their audience to win some popularity contest on their way out the door. Once Samuel has proven his own integrity, he leverages that moral authority to hold the people accountable for their actions. He starts by giving them context. Samuel literally walks the people through a historical timeline of their own nation. He reminds them of how God brought their ancestors out of Egypt using Moses and Aaron. He traces the cycle of their history. They'd forget God, fall into the hands of oppressors, cry out for help, and then God would send leaders like Jerubbaal, Bedan, Jephthah, and Samuel himself to deliver them so they could dwell safely. He is laying out the irrefutable data of their past to show a very clear pattern of cause and effect. And this brilliantly illustrates the crossroads they are standing at right now. Based on verses 14 and 15, Samuel sets up a stark comparison. On the one side, obeying. If both the people and their new king fear the Lord, serve him, and obey his voice, they will continue following the Lord, and they'll thrive. but on the other side, rebelling. If they do not obey but rebel, the hand of the Lord will be against them, exactly as it was against their fathers. He is making the consequences of their future choices crystal clear. There's no gray area here. Then, Samuel does something truly astonishing to prove his point. In verse 17, he asks the crowd a deceptively simple question. Is it not wheat harvest today? Now, he's using this specific moment in their agricultural calendar to build suspense, because rain during the wheat harvest was incredibly rare. He tells them he's going to call upon the Lord to send thunder and rain so they will physically perceive the gravity of the wickedness they've committed in demanding a king. And then boom, the skies literally open up. The Lord sends thunder and rain that very day. The text tells us that all the people greatly feared the Lord and Samuel. It is a dramatic, booming validation of everything Samuel just warned them about. The physical world is suddenly mirroring the spiritual reality of their situation. Which leads us right into our final phase, Section 4, the true marks of leadership. Having just demonstrated immense power and divine backing, Samuel now has the people entirely at his mercy. How he reacts in this exact moment is what separates a mere ruler from a lasting mentor. The people are completely terrified. They cry out to him, saying, "Pray for thy servants unto the Lord thy God, that we die not, for we have added unto all our sins this evil, to ask us a king." They realize their mistake. They are steeped in panic and fear of destruction. This is the critical moment. Samuel could have easily said, "I told you so," or used their sheer panic to seize power right back. But he doesn't. Just look at the contrast here. Against the people's panic, Samuel offers an incredible lesson in empathy and reassurance. He tells them, "Fear not, ye have done all this wickedness. Yet turn not aside from following the Lord, but serve the Lord with all your heart." He acknowledges the hard truth, like, yes, you definitely messed up, but he immediately pivots their focus forward. He warns them not to go after vain things which cannot profit or deliver, and he reassures them that the Lord will not forsake his people. Samuel then outlines what is essentially a masterclass in stepping into an advisory role. Check out these 3 steps of his mentorship transition. First, forgiving past mistakes. He tells them to fear not and to keep moving forward. Second, offering continuous prayer. In a stunning display of servant leadership, he says, "God forbid that I should sin against the Lord in ceasing to pray for you." Wow. He views failing to support them as a personal failure. And third, teaching the good and right way. He promises to remain their educator and their moral compass, even though he's no longer their commander-in-chief. So the crucial takeaway is perfectly summarized in verse 24. Samuel leaves them with these core directives, basically giving them an actionable roadmap for their future success. Fear the Lord, serve him in truth with all your heart, and importantly, consider his great works. Remember the data. Remember the history of what has already been done for you. He finishes off with a firm warning that if they still do wickedly, both they and their new king will be consumed. But the path to success is clearly laid out right before them. Samuel's farewell isn't just a goodbye, it is a blueprint. It shows us that true authority is deeply rooted in unimpeachable integrity, that real accountability requires telling hard truths, and that the ultimate mark of a great leader is the ability to transition from demanding obedience to offering tireless mentorship. So I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought to reflect on today. Does your own leadership style mirror Samuel's lifelong integrity and his unwavering dedication to mentorship? Really think about the legacy you are building right now. Thanks so much for joining me on The Explainer today, and I'll catch you next time.